Hi everyone. So I wanted to chat a little bit about genetic testing. I had the blood work done for genetic testing, and so that is to look at certain genes that may basically tell you if you are predisposed to certain cancers, due to genetic mutations. And so, like, the two common ones that everyone kind of knows about are the BRCA1 and BRCA2 gene. And so, I remember like asking my OBGYN about genetic testing about 5 years ago. I had 3 women in my life that I was like connected to that were all diagnosed with breast cancer in their early 30s. And so for me, having a family history of breast cancer, I immediately went there because, I saw those women at that time like, well, that could be me. And so I asked about genetic testing then, and it was more so kind of like, well, insurance is not going to pay for it. It's a $6,000 test. You'd have to pay out of pocket. And to be honest, I didn't have the money to pay it out of pocket at the time. I probably could have gotten it, of course, for sure, if it was like, I guess, a push to say like, yeah, you should definitely get this. But at the time, looking at my age and just like, I guess, overall risk. And I remember the doctor like kind of saying, well, your mom had, melanoma. She didn't have breast cancer. It was your aunt that had breast cancer. If it was your mom that had breast cancer, then we would highly, push for you to do the genetic testing. And so it was kind of like she used some other score, like risk assessment tool. And I don't even know what it was called really, but apparently based off of how the information was at the time, it put me in a low risk category. And so, that's ultimately, I guess, why the doctor was saying that insurance wasn't going to cover it. And so, flash forward 5 years later, here I am dealing with a cancer diagnosis. And so, ultimately what I do know is once you are diagnosed with cancer, that insurance does pay for it. Not sure, why they want to do it that way. Seems kind of backwards. I'd definitely be on the other side of trying to prevent it as much as possible up front or getting ahead of it. But we all know sometimes things are a little backwards. And so it seems like it's more expensive on this side to do it versus, paying for it on the front side before you have to go through cancer treatments and surgeries and all of that. But hey, I don't make those decisions. So, so genetic testing done. In terms of, what to know about it, it's easy. It's just a blood draw. I sat down and met with a genetics counselor where they went through my health history, just asked a bunch of questions, things like that. Once she got all the information filled out and they're like, they basically confirmed like, oh yeah, you should definitely have genetic, testing done. And it's so weird because now when I go through my health history, it's like everyone, and I remember my oncologist even doing that as well. It was like, well, yeah, you should definitely have genetic testing done. Whereas, like I said, 5 years ago, it was like, well, they were like, it was kind of like, yeah, maybe, no big deal. You can hold off. I mean, I know that's 5 years ago and medicine has moved forward significantly in the last 5 years, particularly with breast cancer. And so it's crazy how the difference of opinions are within this 5 year difference. But yeah, so going through my health history now is like, it's definitely like, well, you should definitely have genetic testing. So, let's get this done. So, speaking with the genetic counselor, going through the health history, once she had all the information, she kind of went through like the rundown of the cost, to me. And so basically, she was like, you may have a copay of $100. Looks like, your insurance did approve this. And so we'll move forward with it. And so basically just went to the lab and sat down in a chair to get my blood work done. At this point, I've been stuck so many times that, what's one more stick? So yeah, no issues there in terms of getting the blood work done. Once they had everything confirmed, my identifying information, date of birth, that kind of thing. And then they put it in a little kit box and send it off. And so I am supposed to have the results in a few weeks, and we'll go from there. What else can I say about genetic testing other than just push to have it done? Anyway, anyone that's in a position like mine who, you have a family history of it, but, maybe you are still young and, other things that you're doing puts you in a low risk category. I say still push for it. Still push for it if you can, and get it done. Will it change anything one way or the other? No. Because nothing is 100%. It can come back negative, and probably give you a false sense of reassurance that, okay, well, because I don't carry these genes, then I don't have to worry about cancer. And that's just not true. And it could come back positive and freak you out because, knowing that you carry the gene will make you believe that, well, I'm definitely going to get it. And that's not the case as well. Like, everyone that carries the gene doesn't all have to deal with a breast cancer diagnosis. So, either way, don't let it basically deter or give you any false reassurance or false scares or anything like that. But just knowing, I think, puts you in a position where you feel like you have some control, and having some control over your life means a lot, especially when you get to a point where you feel like you can't control anything. So that's my thoughts on that. Just, get it done if you can, push to get it done. And regardless of the results, just, know that you're doing everything that you can to be proactive in your health, your outcome, your life. Oh, one thing I do want to add that I learned in the appointment with the genetic counselor is that they don't just test for BRCA1, BRCA2. They also check, it's like a full panel of 84 identified genes that could be linked to breast cancer or other cancers as well. And so I did not know that. To me, that's a lot. Now, she did make it a point to say that, they have not discovered every gene yet. And so, no, it's not a guaranteed, like I said, thing that's going to tell you, or answer all the questions that you may want answered at the time. But, having 84 genes discovered so far that could, potentially be a high risk factor for cancer in you or your family members, that's a big move in science. And so, just knowing what I know about cancer and genetic testing and all that, like I said, if you have a family history of it, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, sister, brother, get genetic testing done. Don't go through this, this thing that I've gone through. And like I said, 5 years later, here I am getting it done, but I'm getting it done because I have cancer, where I have had, such a significant family history of it. And like I said, looking at it now, the genetic counselor, the oncologist, everybody's like, well, why didn't we do this already? That's the sense that I get. They didn't say that, but that's the sense that I get. This should have already been done. So get it done. And just know that, regardless of what the results are, just that you've done, you're being proactive. You're doing what you can to change the outcome, or possibly, get ahead of anything that could be in your family line. The other important thing is if you have children, it's good to know up front, even if you don't have children yet, what potential mutations may be in your gene that your children will need to know of. So it's important. It's important whether you are diagnosed or not. Like I said, if you have a family history of it, it's important. Get it done and just know your results. And as science continues to move forward and new genes are identified, and just you submitting a sample may be, a potential breakthrough for a new gene being identified. So get it done. That's my spill. Get genetic testing done if you can, and go from there. All right, guys. Thanks. Like, comment, share. I'm going to include some pictures and a little video from me getting my genetic testing done. All right. Thank you.
Reason?
I'm about to get my genetic testing done.
Okay. How you gonna do your own?